Welcome to the Journey to Your podcast. I'm Jess, an intuitive medium, Reiki practitioner, life coach, and energy artist. For years, I struggled with burnout, anxiety, and unresolved trauma until a life-changing loss pushed me to break free from old patterns and trust my intuition. Now, I help women like you do the same. This podcast is your guide to uncovering your most authentic self, connecting with your intuition, and transforming your life from the inside out. Wherever you are on your healing journey, you're in the right place. Now let's get started. Today, I'm joined by Courtney Crawford, a licensed massage therapist with 18 years of bodywork experience. She's a newly certified trauma touch therapist, a master NLP practitioner, Reiki Level 2, and is currently deepening her wisdom through a shamanic medicine woman course. Courtney specializes in deep tissue therapeutic massage and now offers a 10-session trauma touch protocol. In this episode, we explore the energetics of trauma in the body, how it's stored, the symptoms to look out for, and practical ways to begin your healing journey. Be sure to pay close attention when Courtney talks about somatic awareness, the role of breath in releasing stored trauma, and how reconnecting with your body can be a powerful first step in your healing journey. For those who want to take her recommendations further, I've linked resources on breathwork and a guided body scan meditation in the show notes. Let's dive in. Hello, Courtney. I am so excited to talk with you today about the energetics of trauma in the body. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well today. Thank you, Jess, for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited to be here and to talk about trauma and how it gets stored in the body and ways that your listeners can slowly start releasing.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, just for our listeners, I wanted to add in that Courtney and I go back a little while. So, some of you have heard the story about how I started working with V. Lisa, who has been a guest on our show whenever it was The Intuitive Teacher. And she was my NLP mentor. And I met Courtney through V. She was just finishing up that course as I was beginning, and we've ended up crossing paths several times since then. So I am more than excited, more than just a little excited that we are able to have this conversation because we definitely have grown a lot since first meeting.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, just the fact that we connected through NLP, which is such a powerful tool in and of itself,
Mhm.
and just being able to witness your journey to where you are now and my growth through that time frame, and there's so many things that we could talk about. So this is
I
a really
know.
cool place to start.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you might want to come onto the podcast in the future and
Um,
dive deeper into other
yes,
things.
yes, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. All right. Well, let's get started with talking about the energetics of trauma that gets stored in your body, because I know that is something that both of our backgrounds can come together and really provide an informative episode, but also give our listeners some practical strategies or like starting points to
Mhm.
help them release and help them to heal old wounds. Whenever I met you, you were a massage therapist, but like we said, you have grown quite a bit and there has been some evolution in what you are offering. So, what led you to become a massage therapist in the first place? And then, not too long ago, a trauma touch practitioner. And how has your understanding of the body's wisdom evolved through your work?
Yeah, the truth of the matter is I didn't know I wanted to be a massage therapist. I actually started out in the salon,
Mm-hmm.
going through the cosmetology program in high
Yeah.
school. And my mom is also a cosmetologist. So I worked in the salon with her, started out as a shampoo girl. And through that, every client was like, "Oh my gosh, your hands are so strong. You should do massage." And I was
Oh.
like, "Oh, okay, let me see what that's about."
Yeah, yeah.
So massage sort of found me. I went through the massage program and started my career pretty much right after, but it was never my full-time gig. It was always a part-time. I always just sort of did it on the side, and I would travel to people's homes, and life happens. And the death of my brother in 2011 was the thing that really started me on the path to healing and the path to exploring what happens after death.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just shifted. I mean, it was slow, but it was inevitable. And a few years ago, I had an opportunity, it presented, where I am now at the ritual spot. They offered me a job like first time they met me, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm not sure, we'll see. And then several weeks later I said, "Hey, about that job."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that was the start of my full-time career. That was in 2021. And since then, the growth has been like exponential. And so I went into body work and create like, I'm going to say like through body work, the seeing and witnessing how I helped people feel better about themselves, feel reduced pain, being able to move their necks. And every time that happened, it just got me further, like wanting to do more and more and more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trauma Touch presented a few years ago, and I was like, okay, maybe, I don't know. It took me a little while. And last year I made the jump and went out to Colorado, took the class, immediately signed up for round two. And I, in fact, on Monday of this past week, I officially graduated.
Ooh, how exciting.
So yeah, so I'm now officially a certified trauma touch therapist. Um, and so yeah, that is really where, it all started. And my brother's death was sort of that pivotal place. And I know I touched on that earlier, and I'll probably talk a lot about it because it is such an impactful, traumatic event that happened for
Mm-hmm.
me and my family. That really led me to the body and how repressed emotions and uncompleted cycles really get stored.
Mm-hmm.
And over
Yeah.
time, if you don't address those things, if you don't try and complete the cycle of stress, your body can really manifest physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So chronic pain, um, digestive issues are a big, big thing because we push down, we push down, we push down. Eventually, it's going to come back up. And so just witnessing my mom's journey of losing a child and being somebody who has lost their brother at a young age to a very traumatic event, my symptoms are now starting to manifest because I'm only really stepping into that, I want to say, like healing and letting go part of grief.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been just about 14 years since my brother passed. So it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Oh, I wanted to ask if you could give a quick description of what trauma touch therapy is for someone who might be listening for the first time thinking, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah. Okay. So trauma touch, in a nutshell, is really hard to describe. Um, it is a very gentle approach to reconnecting with your body. I'm going to just kind of leave it there. We can kind
Okay.
of get into more details as we talk about trauma being stored in the body.
Hmm.
But basically, trauma touch just helps you to reconnect with your body, become aware of where things are coming up for you in your body, shoulders, legs, knees, stomach, and identifying sensations. So we
Okay.
often go right into feelings. I feel sad. I feel anxious. I feel depressed.
Hmm.
Those are feelings. And trauma touch wants you to get to sensations. So, what is the
Yeah.
sensation of depressed? right?
Yeah.
So that might be heaviness in my chest. It might feel
Yes.
like I'm unable to breathe, like there's a rock. Um, you know, anxiety in my belly. It feels like it's
Mm-hmm.
in knots and it's ringing. So we really want to get to sensations and identifying, and then finding the courage and the curiosity to sit with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Whenever you were talking about that and identifying where these feelings are in your body, it brought me back to a time when my daughter, when she was much younger, my goodness, she was probably 5 or 6, she had built up this um, separation anxiety with me to the
Mm,
point where she had to go to sleep at night with me touching her.
wow.
And she would not, she would have a meltdown if I left her room before she was asleep. So we started therapy. And one of the things that I had started working with her on, and then later in conjunction with the therapist, was naming that, and we named it worry. So it had a name. We objectified it. We took it kind of outside of our body in a way, but then also started recognizing where did worry show up in the body. And she always said it was in her belly. Now, after all of that work, fast forward to now, when she's feeling anxious, she has the tools and the knowledge to identify, or I should also say, discern what's
Hmm.
actually going on. Am I feeling sick? Is my belly really hurting, or is worry here?
Right.
It
Yes,
also reminds me
exactly.
of the in a way from NLP, the gremlins, because
Yeah.
we have to identify them, think about their characteristics,
Hmm.
recognizing them.
Yeah.
But then whenever you pair that with the body,
Yes.
I think it's much more powerful.
It is. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's beautiful. And so fascinating how innate this work really is.
Mm-hmm.
But society and the fast-paced world that we live in really dictates how we suppress
Yeah.
and move forward. So really this work is innate. It's in us. It's
Yeah.
natural. And children are the perfect prime example of how innate it truly is. When you watch kids, when they get hurt, when they feel sad, when they get upset, like they go through the process. And then sometimes we as adults or their parents often shut it down
Mm-hmm.
because we're uncomfortable
Yeah.
or we're embarrassed or
Yeah.
we just want them to stop. So
Yeah.
we teach them at a really young age to sort of just push that aside and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I
yeah, I
have
think
heard a lot of people say, you need to stop crying right now. This isn't as big of a deal as you're making it out to be.
yep.
Well,
Yep.
that's not
That's
helpful for
that's not
anyone.
helpful. No, not at all. And I've been guilty of that with my
Me
children.
too.
I have two boys. One just turned 12 and the other is
Mm,
9. And prior to this work, you know, you do what your parents did.
yeah.
And
You
not
do
that
what you
that was
know,
necessarily like they did it on purpose. They did what their parents did.
right?
And so until we know better, we don't really do better. So yeah, so now that I know better, I'm like, if you need to cry, we'll just go over there and cry. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to yell, let's yell.
Yeah.
You know, if we need to punch the pillow, we're gonna do the
Yeah.
thing. And, I try and let them get whatever needs to come out, and
Yeah.
also to just make them aware that if there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
So,
It's very empowering. And
yeah,
you are breaking patterns, cycles for your children right now.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
not going to be carried into their lives if they decide to be a parent themselves or if they have that
exactly.
opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We talked a little bit about some symptoms that could be appearing. For example, the knot in your stomach or the pressure in your chest. But there are so many ways that trauma can manifest in the body. And I really believe that your body, the energetics of your body, will give you signals. And if you're not listening and taking care of them, then they will amplify. So it's like a snowball effect. So I'm curious if you have any more examples where trauma is stored in the body and maybe it just softly shows up. Or maybe people are to the point where the body is like, okay, I need to like pull out all the red flags. I'm on high alert here. What are some ways that trauma might show up physically, emotionally, or energetically, even mentally and spiritually? Like it's a holistic sphere
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It really is. And holistic is really the best way. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
really a full body, mind, soul work.
Yeah.
And you don't really get to have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, you're not really completing all of the things, right? So, yeah. So a lot of times people come with a lot of neck and shoulder pain, and
Mm.
that is, low back pain as well, hip pain. Hips are like, the trash can of the body, the waste, like we just
Mm.
sort of throw it down there
Mm-hmm.
when we don't really know what to do with it, and then our hips kind of become stuck, and we get a lot of low back pain, a lot of glute pain, and that the body is connected fully 100% from head to toe. There's really not a place in your body that could hurt that maybe isn't referred from another place. A lot of neck pain, a lot of shoulder pain. I always say, like, especially as women, because primarily my clients are women,
Mm-hmm.
although that is shifting. I am getting a lot of male clients now, but we as women, we carry the weight of the world on our shoulders
Mm-hmm.
and we bring everything home with us.
Yes.
Men have a really great ability to say, well, that was a work thing. That was a
Yeah.
friend thing. This is
Mm-hmm.
my wife thing or my partner thing or my, whatever
Yeah.
thing. And they can sort of categorize and separate. And I think as women, we tend to just pile it.
Yeah.
So we put it on, we put it on, we put it on. And the next thing you know, our shoulders are slumped, our necks are tight, our heads are
Mm-hmm.
forward. And it's creating so much physical pain. And massage is a really beautiful tool. And yet we go right back to doing the thing we did
Mm-hmm.
after the session. And so a lot of times they're like, well, it felt really great for a couple of days. And I'm like, yeah, and then life was lifing and
Mm-hmm.
you piled it right back on. So the other thing are like the emotions that we don't allow out.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Um, you
push them
know,
down and keep them trapped.
Yeah, like a lot of it's me, especially like for me, tears are like the biggest thing.
Mm.
Because that's the way that my things release.
Mm-hmm.
So tears of joy, tears of sadness, tears of
Mm-hmm.
rage. Um, and just recently, we had my son's sixth grade moving up ceremony, and I just was fighting back the tears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, that can manifest as headaches, that can manifest as tightness in the chest, that can manifest as, just overall unease in the body because my nervous system was trying to release something. And I said,
Yeah.
not right now.
Yeah.
And so, um, I think it was a couple hours later when I was home or I was driving or wherever, and like the tears just started flowing. And I was like, okay, it's just time to let them out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Other emotions, maybe rage, anger, frustration, that can kind of get stuck in the jaw and present as muscle pain because everything is tight because we
Oh,
wanted to
yeah.
just probably punch something. And fear, if that's not expressed, it can cause anxiety or gut issues, sort of like you said with your daughter. Fear, worry, anxiety, that's kind of, bunched up together, and that usually causes some digestive issues
Oh my
along the
goodness.
way.
I have that was me to a T. I don't know if I actually talked about this on the podcast or not. So I'm just going to go for it. I am using my voice. Um,
Mhm.
I went through a divorce in my late 20s.
Mhm.
And shortly after, I was diagnosed with esophageal issues and silent acid reflux.
Mhm.
It started manifesting shortly after the divorce, but I was, I was so good at ignoring my symptoms that I went until my daughter was born. So she is about 12 and a half right now. And I don't know, it was probably like 2.5 years I suffered through this. And then
Mhm.
that just caused more and more damage. But whenever I was listening to you talk about, pushing that down, not speaking your needs, not using my voice, and that was all in my throat chakra, and then it did manifest in digestive issues. And there were other issues that appeared because I was like, nope, I'm not going to let this get to me. I can just push through it. But my body, that was an example of, when the body's, softly speaking to you and
Yes.
then it is ready to kick down your door.
Yes. Yeah, it will only, I think your body will only let you push so much stuff down before it's really screaming at you
Yeah.
to take action. And yet, again, back to our society, we just want to cover up and mask the symptoms.
Yeah.
We often don't get to the root cause. And so there's so many people on medications um, that they may not really need to be on if
Yeah.
they felt the things they needed to feel. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
It is.
You
Yeah.
don't want to you don't really want to sit in your own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so people get really, really scared of that. They tend to throw up the wall, and even that is now adding
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're like their body was like, we're so close. And then our brains go, no, absolutely not. I don't have time for this. I want to
Mm-hmm.
just get to work or get home
Yeah.
or do the
Yeah.
thing.
All
So,
those other, the responsibilities in life, they take precedence over what your body is trying to tell you.
mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm curious now. You've talked a little bit about the symptoms that people will come to you for, including, the chronic pain or, the weight that is, heavy on their shoulders. They might not be coming to you for emotional overwhelm, but I bet that's an underlying symptom. But how do you feel, given all of your experience now and your training, that body-based healing helps address the root causes instead of just managing the symptoms? But I know you did say, some people will just use massage as a tool to manage the symptom, but
Hmm.
not, it keeps coming back. So they're back and
Yeah.
saying, hey, I just got this massage a couple days ago, but here it
But
is
yeah.
again.
I'm still feeling bad. Yeah, so the body-based healing or like the bottom up approach, I guess I'll call it, it really addresses the root cause of the trauma rather than just managing its symptoms. Because you're working directly with your nervous system, with your fascia, with your muscles, with your energy, and where it's that trauma is stored. We can talk about traditional talk therapy or your cognitive behavioral therapies, and that can help you identify
Mm-hmm.
and bring awareness. But awareness without action is
Yeah.
really not helpful
Yeah.
because you sort of keep replaying. So,
Mm-hmm.
because the trauma is imprinted on your body, it really does require somatic and energetic approaches. And so it completes the stress response cycle. So our
Mm-hmm.
bodies, when a trauma happens, it activates fight or flight,
Mm-hmm.
freeze or fawn, depending on what the traumatic event was. And so if that response isn't completed, then that energy gets trapped in your body and you stay stuck in survival mode.
Mm.
And so that's really what's happening for a lot of people is that we live in survival
Mm-hmm.
instead of rest and digest. And so our nervous systems are always on the lookout
Mm-hmm.
or feeling like it's in danger.
Mm.
And so the body-based approach, it's going to help you complete that stress response cycle. It's going to help you release the stored trauma in the fascia and the muscles, which is why massage is a great tool because sometimes we don't need to talk about what the trauma was in order
Mm-hmm.
to get the release to happen in the body.
Mm.
And so I think that I'm going to kind of pause there. I think that's a really important piece of information is that with talk therapy, and it's a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
I myself am in talk therapy. So this is not at all like talk therapy doesn't work,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But with talk therapy, what is happening is that we are retelling the story.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, our minds don't know the difference between our thoughts and actual reality. So
Mm-hmm.
the more times that we're repeating that story, the more time we spend in a hyper aroused state.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically re traumatizing ourselves each time we tell the story. And so by not telling the story verbally and allowing our bodies to tell the story, that's what gets that release. That's what gets the trauma unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so important, especially in trauma touch therapy, that we talk about your trauma. You really never, if you come to see me, you really never have to tell me what
What
trauma you've
happened?
experienced because I'm actually not equipped certified certifiably equipped to deal with that. I That's not my scope.
Okay.
Now you may share with me whatever may come up for you, but I cannot help you make connections or talk therapy you through that. I'm going to bring it back to your body.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that piece there is really important, because and I think that's why massage is a good tool because you don't always have to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get that release in your body. And I can feel muscularly where things are stuck and stored. And
Mm.
so I do a lot of deep tissue work and a lot of like trigger point therapy and just holding and
Mm-hmm.
holding and holding and holding until I can feel that muscle release. Whether that is an actual like muscular release where I can feel it kind of like dissipate, or whether I watch your body take a deep breath.
How does your training and experience differ from, and I'm asking this question and coming from a place of I don't know what I don't know.
Mhm.
So how does your training and experience differ from like a basic or traditional or entry level massage therapist training? Because it
Yeah,
just feels like, I don't know, whenever you are describing what's going on based on my history, I would prefer to go to you because you are equipped to deal with so much rather than, you know, I just want to go to a massage therapist because massage feels good. Like
yeah,
there's a very distinct
yes,
difference between
yeah.
what you are describing
Hmm.
and just going to get a massage as like a treat.
A treat. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say like a new therapist coming from school is going to be super excited to get their hands on bodies, and they're going to really want to stick with their routine.
Mm,
We learn a routine in school, and every school will maybe show you a different one, and yet at the end of the day, you're getting the massage, right? So, but we really tend to stick to the routine. And I know from experience, it was like, okay, I'm going to start here and then I'm going to go here and then I'm going to go here. And it's the same amount of time on each place. And, you're very structured and very routine. And I think, for me, I have nearly 18 years of bodywork experience, and you just get to know bodies.
hmm.
Um, and sometimes I don't even know how I know.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that
um,
helps
you know,
being a Reiki practitioner because,
yeah.
and I also know you have experience with your intuition. So
Hmm.
all of that, it's not,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah, I'm not bringing one approach,
right.
I guess is really what is
It's
happening. And
very integrative.
a lot of people ask me what type of body work that I do because you hear like, oh, Swedish, oh, deep tissue, whatever new technique is out there. And I really just blanket myself under therapeutic, but I'm really shifting that to intuitive,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is happening all at once.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of times my clients are talking to me
Mm-hmm.
and they're sharing things with me. And that in and of itself, combined with the body work, is so healing. They're
Yeah.
getting multiple therapies at one time. And not
Mm-hmm.
that I'm offering them advice or telling them what to do, they're just talking,
Mm-hmm.
while I'm working and releasing their muscular system and their energetic field, because that for me, you don't place hands on somebody without sharing energy. And so for me, when I start a session, I'm going to call it a prayer, and that might scare some people off. But it's really just me connecting with Source.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank Source for allowing me to be a conduit to their healing.
Mm-hmm.
It's sometimes it's not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is me, but I allow spirit to guide me.
Yes.
And so I thank them for allowing me to be that conduit. I ask that my client gets, the love, healing, validation, clarity that they are looking for their highest and best, and to
Mm-hmm.
return their body to perfect health.
Mm-hmm.
And so I start with my hands under your head and I say that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm. Now they
um,
do.
and until now, but no, and I would share that with people if they wanted to know, but it's really, I start with my hands under your head unless I'm starting you face down, and then my hands are on your back. But either way,
Yeah.
I introduce my energy to your energy before we start
Yeah.
the work. And so, yeah, it just is, you learn with experience. I'm going to say, going kind of back to your original question about new therapists, new body workers coming in, you're very structured, you're very routine, you really just want to get your hands on all the bodies, and over time it will evolve as long as you're curious.
Yeah.
A lot of times I clients come in and they have a thing and I'm like, oh, that was 18 years ago, let me go ahead and Google what muscle that could be. Um, but that's what is creating a really good therapist,
Yeah.
when they don't know, but they find out, and then
Mm-hmm.
they can help them the next session. And I'll tell people when they ask me a question, if I'm not sure, I'll say, you know what? I'm really not sure exactly what muscle that could be or what is exactly causing that, but here's what I'm thinking based on, but I will look that up and let you know.
Yeah.
And so there's nothing wrong with that.
No. I think that's important
So
to be very transparent.
yeah, because I don't want to tell them something and then I'm so off base because I just didn't want to look like I didn't know what I was talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
I prefer to work with that integrity and then be curious. And after their session, I'll Google, okay, I have a client who his toes go to sleep when he's laying on his back. And I'm like, okay, what,
Mm-hmm.
nerve is innervating those toes? What are the muscles that are correlated? And so then the next time I see him, I can explain to him what I found out
Yeah.
and feel his body, and he can feel me feeling his body and where the things are going. And so just having an open line of communication, I think, too, with your clients is like unmatched.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I agree. Oh my goodness. All of this has been making me like go back and forth between different thoughts and memories and situations. And I could talk to you a lot longer than we have
yeah,
time for today.
absolutely. There's so much. I
Oh.
think I'm actually, so it's funny too, because I'm actually with a colleague and a friend of mine. We are teaching a mini series on trauma and navigating it. So it's called The Body Remembers, and
Hmm.
it's a mini series for navigating trauma through somatic awareness. So we originally had it as this like long workshop,
Hmm.
and then we were like, "Ugh, class is like a lot to give people at one time.
Yeah.
So we've broken it down into a four-part series, and each series, each class we're offering will build on the last one and talk about, trauma, what it is, how it's stored, and then we're going to get into the autonomic nervous system and the fight or flight responses, and then we're going to get into like the language
Mm-hmm.
surrounding somatic work. And that is the sensations I was talking about, because you'll be
Mm.
surprised at how many people don't know what a sensation is.
Oh,
In the very basic sense of the word.
yeah.
We really, I think, are programmed to go to feeling.
Mm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
they often go to feeling. And so there's this teaching that goes into that, um, the language
Mm-hmm.
of how to express, how to name, and the importance of naming it. Hey
Yeah.
there, I feel you, knots in my belly.
Yeah.
I feel that you're trying to protect me from something, but I'm safe now,
Yeah.
you know, is so important. And so, we're going to do that. And then we're going to sort of, in the last one, integrate everything all at once, like all to kind of together. And through that, we're doing exercises and little ways that you can start to regulate your nervous system.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really, I think there's so much to talk about with this that like one session of any conversation is just never enough.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm curious. I'm going to lead this next one with an example.
Mhm,
Um, and this deals with your view of integrating your NLP experience and energetics and the physical body.
mhm,
So, there have been times whenever I am working with a client, and sometimes I have the opportunity to combine all of my modalities as well. So I might be working in a coaching partnership where during that time we're also integrating Reiki. And
mhm,
so I might guide them through discovering where a memory is located in their
mhm,
body. So we talk about what those feelings are, what those sensations are, but then I have tapped into some of my NLP training to um, deepen the awareness, I guess,
mhm,
where we imagine going inside of that. So, for example, if I have a client who is working through a relationship with uh, a mother, wounded, a mother wound,
mhm,
they feel it in their chest. Well, I know,
mhm,
that's a center of both love and grief.
mhm,
And so we might, maybe they say, I can feel a tightening in my chest whenever I
mhm,
talk about this situation with my mother, or I feel anxiety because I get so stressed out, or my shoulders hurt, or whatever. We will then go, like, imagine going into that spot in the body, but then using submodalities to look around. What does this space look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? And then we work through the issue from there.
mhm,
And then also calling in maybe a past self or someone to help, and energetically or visually they maybe I should say intuitively, someone usually appears
mhm.
and helps
Yeah.
in that healing process. So
Mhm,
I wanted to share that example because I think that this is another important reason why, so many modalities coming together
mhm,
are important.
mhm,
So now my question is, we haven't talked a lot about NLP, but that's a huge part of your background. How do you see NLP coming into play? So, for those of you who might be listening for the first time, NLP stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming. And it's really about your thoughts and your beliefs, and then how they manifest in behaviors and cycles of patterns. And there's a lot going on in that, but and the choices and your own empowerment and how you can reprogram and rewrite your stories. So how does that all come together for you with body-based healing?
yeah. So like I said earlier in our conversation, you really can't have one without the other. I feel like my NLP is sort of my training there is sort of a subconscious thing for me.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't know that I'm necessarily consciously going, okay, this is an NLP technique. This
Right,
is,
right.
um, and yet it's in there.
Yeah.
Um, if you're doing body-based healing and you're only doing body-based healing, you are not bringing the awareness
Hmm.
of the patterns, the thoughts, and the things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so without that, your body may still, well, your brain body connection may still
Right.
feel like you are in a danger.
Mm.
So bringing in NLP and recreating and reframing those beliefs, those patterns, all of the things that sort of create our thoughts, which then create our reality. If we don't change those as well, then we're still sort of stuck in the loop because our body may feel okay, but our brain is still going, I have this fear of being abandoned because
Yeah.
my dad left when I was a kid,
Holy
or
crap. Are
because
you
my,
like in my mind? Because that
ah,
is like one of my core wounds. And my parents got divorced, so my dad wasn't around, but he tried to be around as much as
yeah,
possible. Holy smokes, Courtney.
yeah, but I have chills everywhere. But it's so, I mean, it's just unfortunately, it's a very common issue that a lot of women experience, is an abandonment wound from that first man that they ever loved.
Hmm.
And so we will tend to find relationships that mirror
Hmm.
to try and get somebody else to not leave us,
Yep.
and
Yep.
so we are subconsciously always trying to complete the cycle.
Hmm.
But if we don't know what the cycle is, we
Hmm.
might not ever get there.
Yeah.
So again, the awareness of I am mirroring this relationship from a previous wound, um, sitting with it in the body, letting the body know that, okay, this isn't that relationship. We are, hopefully we're safe.
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and then reprogramming. Just because my dad left doesn't mean that my partner will leave.
Yeah.
Um, and yet your partner may be mirroring a lot of the qualities from your father or your mother,
Hmm.
whatever wound you may have.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's where the talk therapy comes in. That's where NLP comes in. That's where communication with your partner comes in, all of the things. And I'll say again, just going back to like, you don't get to have one without the other. And if you do, you're just really running yourself on the hamster wheel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think incorporating all of the things is, like you said, even what you were describing with like going in and calling in, maybe a smaller version of yourself or younger
Hmm.
version of yourself, or even a past life version of
Mm.
yourself. That's in a nutshell shamanic work as well, because we
Mm.
are, in shamanic work, we are working on a deep soul level.
Hmm.
And we are looking for contracts and past life experiences and, things that show up for us subconsciously in this
Hmm.
lifetime that maybe are coming from previous lifetimes or small unconscious wounds that we have.
Yeah.
And so going in and finding those pieces and calling those pieces back to ourselves really holistically completes all of that. When we experience a trauma, we leave a fragment of our soul in that time.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we call that fragment back, when we call that younger self back, it's helping complete a piece of us. It's like we're a puzzle.
Yeah.
And so the more pieces we can find and the more, I'm going to call it shadow work that we can do,
Hmm.
um, and the more body work that we can do and the more, somatic work and all of it, the more that we can do, the more pieces we'll have of ourselves and the more whole that we will feel. And I think the other thing that I want to say is this sounds so daunting, I think, sometimes when you talk about it, because it can be like, oh my God, I have to call back every soul fragment I ever had lost,
Hmm.
or how long is this going to take? And um, I think people they can shy away from doing the work because it feels daunting. It feels
Yeah.
exhausting. It feels never ending.
Hmm.
Um, and the truth is that healing isn't linear. And so you're going to start with one thing, and the next thing you know, you're back to your 3-year-old self going, wait, mom, dad, love me, see me, hear
Hmm.
me. And so it doesn't have to be daunting, and it doesn't have to be this like overpowering work, I want to say. It just needs to be slow and intentional.
Yeah.
And you just need to understand that you're uncovering pieces of yourself little by little and taking it one step at a time. You can't call all your pieces back and then expect to feel good. You're going to
No.
be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Um, it is a lifetime of work.
Hmm.
We always should be working, growing, learning, experiencing. I don't know. It's beautiful and it's exciting and it's scary and it's nerve-wracking and
Hmm.
it's all of the things. But
Yeah.
I think people should just take the first step,
Hmm.
whatever that is for them. It's different for everybody.
Who's felt disconnected from their body due to trauma or stress, where can they start? So, for example, what are some simple practices that might help them rebuild that connection? But then, okay, I'm also thinking of people who might feel resistance to this, or maybe they are skeptic about maybe any kind of therapy. Like, also, so this is a longer question, but what would you say to someone who might be curious but hesitant to take the first step?
I think that there are far more curious people. And I would say, I really think that most people, and I'm guilty of it too, a lot of the time, we dissociate
Mm-hmm.
and we self-soothe with coping mechanisms. For me, I am the most guilty for doom scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
So doom scrolling, social medias,
Mm-hmm.
internet, like just reading
Yeah.
things on the internet, watching TV, binge watching. These are all ways of dissociation. It's a way for us to not actually deal with what might be happening to us in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we really don't like sitting in silence.
Yeah. Although that is another way that it might come through as,
Yes, for some
giving
people.
someone the silent treatment, avoiding
Hmm.
conversation, avoiding
Yeah.
conflict,
Yes, yes.
avoiding conflict, doing everything you can to make people feel good or don't bring up that topic
Yeah.
because so and so is going to be rubbed the wrong way and
Uh-huh.
we all don't want to deal with that, so don't address issues,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that might be with
That,
family.
that is like people pleasing,
Hmm.
um, is a big thing that we do. Sometimes when we have like emotional triggers and wounds where we have to read the room.
Yeah, yeah.
As a child, we learn to read the room and we're like, okay, well, they feel real stressed, so let me bring them a cup of tea or
Uh-huh.
let me make sure that they have what they need. And now our needs are not met because usually that person was our caregiver.
Hmm.
And so that is part of a coping mechanism, and it's actually like a fawn response is people pleasing.
Mm.
So overextending yourself to avoid conflict, like you said,
Hmm.
or rejection. You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times it's like, look at all the things I can do for you so you don't leave me.
Yes, going back to that abandonment
Yeah.
wound. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. perfectionism, overworking, all
Yeah.
thing like I have to constantly be busy and I have to work 1,000 hours a week
Yeah.
because then I just won't have time to think about all the things that may or may not be
Yeah.
wrong with
Oh,
me. That was air quotes.
yeah. Cleaning, it could be too, like making sure
Yeah.
that you are cleaning like crazy or exercising.
Yes.
Yeah.
Addictive behaviors,
Yes. Yeah.
and that is exercising, that can be cleaning, that can be alcohol, drugs,
Yeah.
even social media, food, all of it. There's so many things.
Yeah. And I guess when it becomes a coping mechanism, it's because it has entered into that addictive phase. Of course, it's really good that you keep a clean house and that you are making healthy choices for your body's nutrition and movement. But whenever it becomes addictive and to a
Yeah.
level that you are subconsciously using as a coping mechanism,
Hmm.
then
Yeah.
that's when you might need to ask for some help. So
Yes.
maybe if you're at that point, what would you say could be some practices that might help rebuild that connection between their body, what's going on in their mind, their emotions,
Yeah.
their soul, like energetics, all of that?
I would say the most simple way for somebody who may be listening to this and going, oh man, that's me.
Mm.
I'm going to say that breath, because breathing is so natural and we don't think about it until we can't
Mm.
breathe,
Mm-hmm.
whether that be from a sickness or from an overwhelming sense of anxiety, a panic attack, exercising too hard. Bringing our awareness back to our breath is really bringing us into the present moment. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key piece. I think that's the thing we didn't really talk about, but now that it's coming up, I think that being present in the moment is
Mm-hmm.
the most important piece. And that's what breath will do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Breath will bring you right back to now.
Yeah.
Whatever has happened before I got here, whatever's going to happen when I leave here, that's all irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter right now. Right now, I'm here, I'm talking with you, I'm present with you, I'm connecting with you. And so often even when we're face to face with someone, we're not always present with them.
No. Yeah.
We're listening to respond, we're not listening to hear. And so that's an NLP,
Yep.
just
Yeah.
active listening. We don't
Yeah.
do it enough. But yeah, so breathing, if you bring your focus to your breath, and there's so many different ways. There's box breathing, and I know, Jess, that you're very experienced and you teach your children this. And
Mm-hmm.
these are tools that you use in your own home. So,
Mm-hmm.
the box breathing, a shorter inhale to a longer exhale,
Mm-hmm.
just a deep breath to the, eight or 10 times is really going to
Yeah.
get your nervous system almost to reset. And so that I think is probably one of the most simple tools. And then body scan, I think, is
Mm.
another thing for me. So starting with your head or your toes, wherever
Mm-hmm.
you're drawn to first, becoming aware of every body part. And then if there's anything there, like I'm sitting cross-legged, so right now my knees are going, "Hey girl, you want to maybe move?" Um, so just becoming aware of those body parts and knowing that they exist because we often take them for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think those things are so simple and we can do them throughout the day as often as we need to. And it's something that, people, well, I don't have time for that. I'm
Right.
sorry, you don't have time for a deep breath.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
You do. And yet it can be really hard to get a full breath in when you're not used to taking a full breath. So
Mm-hmm.
it does take work, it takes practice.
Yeah.
Building ritual is so important in our
Mm-hmm.
daily lives. So,
It
yeah.
absolutely is. And this was a wonderful way to have a conversation about honoring the body's wisdom. So I'm so glad
Hmm.
that you took your time out of your weekend to talk to us today. Before we go, I want to know, for our listeners' sake, where can people connect with you?
If they wanted to find me in my business, it would be the Ritual Spot PA on Facebook and Instagram, or they can visit the website, theritualspot.com, and they can search me on Facebook or through my first and last name. I'm on there. So yeah, but I would say the Ritual Spot would probably be the
The
quickest
place to
way.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, thank you so much, Courtney,
you're
for coming
welcome.
on and talking to us today. I hope you have a lovely weekend, the rest of your week, too.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited. And yeah, I hope that this has helped somebody
Help
somewhere.
me.
Yeah. Just know that the body is the most advanced piece of machinery on the planet. There's nothing smarter than your body.
Hmm.
And it tells you everything you need to know if you listen. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
listening is key.
yes, absolutely.
Thank you for being here and for taking the time to listen to the Journey to Hear podcast. If something in today's episode sparked something in you, be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so we can keep walking this healing journey together. To help more listeners find the podcast, please consider writing a review and rating wherever you are listening. Always remember, your intuition is your greatest gift. Trust it, trust yourself, and know you are capable of stepping into the life you deserve. I'll be with you every step of the way. Oh, and don't forget, content and services provided by the Journey to Hear LLC, such as the Journey to Hear podcast, are intended for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Techniques, strategies, and services offered are not a substitute for the advice, treatment, or diagnosis of a licensed mental health or medical professional. As stipulated by law, we cannot and do not guarantee results or offer legal advice.